afternoon to the Impact Physiotherapy Yoga community. Welcome to this first little video that I'm putting out this afternoon. You can use this whenever you like though. It's a really nice little flowing sequence that we did on Friday's class, and it's called sort of going with the flow. And at the moment we face some really challenging conditions in the world, and which can really induce a sense of anxiety, can disturb your sleep, all sorts of things like that. So if we start to work with these little sort of sequences quite regularly, they can really help to help manage these feelings that we might be feeling. And I firmly believe that yoga provides this toolbox of skills that we can utilise to help manage the physical body, the emotional body and the mental body as well there. So what we're going to do here, we're just going to do a little bit of breath work to sort of set the scene. Then we're going to work with a little sequence of postures using cat pose, down facing dog pose and extended child's pose. So 3 postures, but linking them together with some very flowing kind of breath to allow us to hopefully reach a bit of a sense of calmness and stillness at the end. As I say, it's really important to maintain a regular practice while we're all having to be relatively isolated at the moment. But we know from the research that the mind, the body can respond really, really well to doing something, doing some sort of exercise regularly. So a really good little sequence to do. So we'll start off with a bit of breath work for a couple of minutes. Now, what I would say about the breath is that we're going to do a couple of minutes here to sort of start the session off, but you're more than welcome to spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes doing the breath work first. So you can pause the video, do your breath practice first, and then come back to the sequence. We're going to just do some very simple belly breathing here in the sitting position, but you can also do this lying down as well. So if you feel that sitting's not right for you, feel free to do it lying down. If we're doing it sitting, make sure that the spine is able to sit nice and tall and comfortably. I've got a little cushion underneath my seat. You can use a chair if you want to do it in sitting, that's fine, as long as the spine can be nice and long and tall and you feel it's not too much of an effort to hold that position. So, but again, feel free to lie down if you wish. You might just hear also that the neighbours' children are also out and about, which is fine, not going to discourage that of course, but just bear with me if it sounds a little bit noisy. But as I always say to my students, that if we can learn to practice and breathe and relax while everything else around us is a bit chaotic and noisy and hectic, then that's a sign that you've really got that nailed. So sometimes having a bit of a noisy environment is not a bad thing to help us practice. Okay, so sitting up nice and tall here. So just allowing the shoulders to sink and settle down away from the ears. Imagine that someone's drawing you tall by the crown of the head, so we're lengthening out the back. Just feeling the sitting bones start to ground into your support, whether you're on a chair or on the floor. If you're lying down, just feel the whole of the back of the body start to settle down into the floor. So first of all, just bring your awareness to the natural breath. Feel where the breath is for you right now. You might be aware of the breath in the nostrils. You might be aware of the breath in the upper part of the chest or the neck and shoulders. You might be aware of the breath in the rib cage or even around the back. But just bringing your awareness to wherever your breath is right now for you. I would encourage you to do this practice with your eyes closed if that's okay, because it does help to turn the sort of the awareness inside from the external environment. So just allowing the eyes to close if that's appropriate for you. Start to feel where the breathing is for you right now. Your mind might initially be brought back out to the sounds or to thoughts, and if that's the case, don't worry, that's really, really common. Then just keep bringing the awareness back to the breath. So we always say that the breath anchors you to your practice. So then moving the awareness now to the belly button, okay? If you want to put your hand on your tummy with this practice, that's absolutely fine, especially if you're new to this breath practice. All I want you to try and do is just, as you take a breath in, and ideally breathing in and out through the nostrils, or in through the nostrils, out through the mouth, whichever you prefer. As you take the breath in, just feeling the tummy just start to dome forward into your hand. And as you exhale, the tummy very gently draws back towards the spine. So really with this breath practice, you're just feeling the movement of the tummy. You can either have the hand on the belly or you can have the hands on your lap, whichever you prefer. Ideally, when we're breathing like this, we shouldn't be feeling any movement up around the neck or the head, the neck or the upper chest here. It's all coming from the belly. So I'm going to just put the timer on now for a couple of minutes. We're going to work this breath practice. As I say, don't worry if the mind gets drawn out by thoughts. Keep bringing it back to that breath awareness and the breath at the belly. When the breath practice finishes, you'll hear a little ting, or you might not hear it on the video, but I'll call it when the bell goes. So just start to bring the awareness to the belly, breathing in and out through the nostrils, or breathing in through the nostrils and out through the mouth. Just start to connect in with this belly breathing. If sometimes you lose your way with this practice, you can always count with the breath. You could perhaps mentally count 1 as you breathe in and 1 as you breathe out. Breathing in 2 and breathing out 2, and continuing with that breath. That's 2 minutes of abdominal breathing. Bear in mind that you can do that for a lot longer if you wish. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whichever you prefer. Or you can just keep a quick 2-minute breath practice there. So we're going to move on to some of the physical practices now. I'm just going to have these 3 postures, cat, dog, to extended child's pose, flowing with the breath. I'm going to show you each posture first of all, and then we'll link it together to some breath work. So, just going to move my cushion out of the way. So first of all, working with cat. So what we do here, spread the fingers, hands under the shoulders, hips and knees at 90 degrees. We should have a relatively flat back here. Just flatten the feet at the back here as well. We're just going to work with this up cat. So dropping the tummy down to the floor, down to the mat, lifting the head, and the sitting bones, tailbone goes up and away towards the ceiling, towards the sky. Practicing outside today, what a joy. And then coming back to that flat position. So we're going to do sort of breath in. So breathing in, tummy goes down towards the mat, sit bones up to the sky, and looking up. Exhaling, coming back to that flat position. Inhaling, looking up, tummy down, sit bones up. Exhaling, down. So that's going to be the first posture of our sequence. The second posture is going to be downward facing dog. Now bear in mind we haven't done any preparation for the hamstrings. So the down dog I'm going to do is a very bent knee, relaxed position for the hamstrings. So this is how we go. So just curling the toes at the back, okay? Taking the sitting bones back towards the heels. Big strong push with the hands, lift the knees. Sitting bones going up to the sky, looking towards the feet. Then coming back down, knees onto the mat. Show you that a few more times. Sitting bones back towards the heels. Big strong push with the hands. Lift the knees. Sit bones up to the sky. Looking to the feet. Just straighten out a little bit more, possibly, as my hamstrings start to loosen up. And then coming back down to the knees. We'll do that one more time. So sitting bones back towards the heels. Big strong push with the hands. Lift the knees. Looking to the feet. And then coming back down. So the final posture in our sequence is extended child's pose. So keep the knees a little bit more separated here, and then take the sit bones right back onto the heels. The hands stay long, hands stay out in front. If we can, dropping the forehead down to the mat. And then we start the sequence again. So I'm going to show you the sequence in full now. Don't worry too much about the breath yet, or I'll talk to you as we go through it in a sequence or two at a time. But this is what it's going to look like. So looking up into our cat pose, then into down dog, back into the cat pose, and then down into extended child's pose. Sweeping forward, into our cat pose, into down dog, back into cat, down into extended child's pose. So we're going to do that with some breath now. So I'll talk you through it as we go, but remember, it's a very flowing practice. We shouldn't be holding the breath. We're not holding the postures for any length of time here. There should be perpetual motion with the breath. So here we go. So breathing in into cat, breathing out into dog, breathing into cat, breathing out into extended child's pose. Breathing in into our up cat, breathing out into our down dog, breathing in into cat, breathing out into extended child's. And again, breathing in, sweeping up and forward, breathing out, breathing in, and breathing out. If you get a little bit out of breath, you can have a few breaths in extended child's pose just to rest before you go into the next sequence. So can rest here for a breath or two. Let's do it a couple more times. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, and breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Straightening out my knees now. Breathing in, and breathing out. So as my hamstrings are getting a little bit more warmer now, I'm just straightening out my knees, so I'm just getting a bit more stretch out of it, but still keeping the postures very flowing. We'll do one more round of that. So breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, and breathing out. So you can work with that sequence. You can perhaps start with doing 2 rounds, maybe 5, building up to 10. It really is depending on how you feel with it and how your ability is. But I would say that the more you practice, especially if we're linking it in with that breath, if you're doing it with your eyes closed, you can really start to internalize that awareness and kind of get lost in the flow of it, which is really, really nice. So we'll bring our practice to a close. So just bringing your little cushion back, or you can lie down again back onto your back, whichever you prefer. So we're just going to finish this sequence now. Again, you could repeat that breath awareness practice if you wish. Just have a couple of minutes of just doing some breath awareness, feeling that belly breathing again for a couple of minutes to finish the practice. But just sitting, bringing the spine up nice and tall, very gently drawing your chin down, and then just feeling the body, feeling the mind, being aware of what's happening in the physical and the mental body. Just closing the eyes for a few breaths here. Being aware of any change, but being aware of no change. It's all fine. So we'll just finish our practice finally with a little bit of a breath in, take the arms up overhead, nice big stretch. And then we can just bring the hand to the heart center if you wish, a little bow forward, namaste. Thank you for joining in, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. There will be lots more coming your way from us. So if you have any comments and requests, if you want us to do any particular postures or sequences for you, while we're all sort of having to be relatively out of the clinic, then do let us know. You can always email the inquiries inquiries at impactphysio.co.uk and let us know if anything you want us to work on specifically. Okay, well, hopefully we'll see you soon. Namaste.